Yes, well, hello and good evening and welcome to Sky Blue Fans TV. Another New Year's Day unbeaten run continues, but it wasn't the result we were looking for. Maybe not the team, the squad, the formation, or even maybe the body language isn't great at the moment, but that will be our talking points for tonight. We'll also look ahead to our match at St Andrews. We're joined by Blues fan Claire, who joined us earlier in the season. And then, of course, we can discuss the transfer window and anything else that you guys want to get involved with. We asked it on last week's show, but we'll have to ask it again. How many players do we need and who do we need to come and join, strengthen our squad? First, let's get the panel in. Vicky, Ken and Miles all send their apologies. None of them are able to come here tonight. However, we do have a man that talks enough for three people. So good evening, Claudio.
Good evening. Yes, and a lot of sense as well, apparently.
Excellent. How are you, mate?
Yeah, not too bad. I'm feeling sorry for Miles. Miles not with us tonight. I mean, he was going to be DJing anyway, but he lost his little dog, and unfortunately had to do what most people don't want to do when they've got pets. And he's been a fantastic companion for Miles, and I know he's going to miss him deeply. And we're all feeling for you, mate. And yeah, condolences. It's a tough thing. Pets are family. If anyone's got a pet, you know what I mean. And it's a sad thing to do. And in some ways, I'm thinking he is still DJing tonight. It's probably the best thing for him actually to get out there and play a bit of tunes and try and take your mind off things.
Yeah, absolutely. All the best to you, Miles. So, first thing, I know we had a show yesterday. You got three of you and Jonah as well on talking about the Charlton game. I was there, unfortunately, I will say, as I'm sure lots of you in the comments were as well.
Can we just say, Jack, you only just managed to get there because you overslept, like a lot of people, and missed your coach and then had to go and chase after it, didn't you?
Yes, yeah. I went to bed. I'd get together at my house. I sent my mates home at 6 a.m. I then thought, I can get my head down for an hour here. This will be all right. And then I woke up at 9 o'clock to my dad ringing me, 7 missed calls. And I went, the bus leaves in 5 minutes. So I said to him, just go without me. And I caught them up at Beaconsfield services. So I drove to Beaconsfield and got on the bus. So I very nearly didn't make it. But I did, and I was excited. But it was a bit of a letdown towards the end. Decent atmosphere at times. There were Cov fans fighting each other, which I thought was quite funny. That was at 1-0 up, 1-0 up, about 10 minutes into the game, 1-0 up, top of the league, you know, into the second half of the season, away from home, and you're fighting your own. I don't get it. I really don't. But hey-ho, I'm there to support the team, not argue with others.
I thought you got on with your
dad. Yes. So I know you talked a lot about the game yesterday, but... My thoughts was shock when the team news was announced. Then I realised there was only 8 subs, and you think, what's happened there? Why is there only 8? Then you hear that Torp pulled out last minute with a calf strain, but there was no replacement that travelled with him, which seems a bit surprising because he didn't come out on the pitch. You know, the team's announced before the team comes out on the pitch, so it wasn't last minute there. Did he go and cramp on the coach on the way down? I don't know. No wingers, 2 big strikers that we're trying to feed crosses into, but no wingers, and a very lackluster midfield. Matty Grimes isn't in the form that we know him to have shown over the last 10 years. And 2 players that aren't necessarily the creative force that we need them to be with 2 strikers. What did you make of that bit?
It was a very workmanlike lineup, wasn't it? It looked like a team that you'd put out to get a point, not to lose, really, because you're right, there was no creativity on there in terms of obviously Thomas Asante's injured, but then you got Sakamoto, EMC missing, Rodoni on the bench, what with Torp out as well. Well, there's 5 players, whatever, that you got out of the first team squad that could score you a goal basically, and create things. So it was really surprising. And the first thing I thought was, how are the 2 guys up front going to get the ball? You know, who's going to put the crosses in is what I said. And lo and behold, after 2 minutes, we scored from a cross. But you know, we normally bang in crosses all game. And it felt like, Jack, that we seem to be relying far too much now on getting a long throw from Milan, which 9 times out of 10 is not beating the first bloke at the minute. And if it does, we're not connecting with it. We're not getting our head on it at all at the moment. Or a set piece or a corner. I don't see enough creativity at the minute. And that lineup didn't help yesterday, did it?
No, absolutely. You're right. I know we scored from a cross, but
I think we caught them cold in the first 4 minutes.
That's exactly what it was. They at no point did we look threatening from crosses. Even that one, I mean, we were at the far end. The goal was at the opposite end of the pitch. You saw Jamie turn, play in Milan. You're thinking, oh, go on, this is a good start, lads. And the cross goes in. And again, because of the distance we were, it looked like it missed Hadji, stayed low, and there were 3 Charlton players stood there. And you're thinking, oh, what's going to happen? Oh, it's in the net, like out of nowhere. But again, I was quite low down. There were bodies in the way. And it was the only threat we caused from a cross, and it was a low cross, not a lofted one like we used to. You're right. And there was no creativity in the midfield. We were hoofing it long to Ellis and Hadji, who were both really poor at holding the ball up, losing it, and they were both weak almost. You're thinking there's 2 lads here that are 6'3", 4, 5, whatever they are, and they can't do anything with it. And it just invited the pressure. And then the midfield was sat no further forward than the defence. It was like a back 8 and 2 strikers.
Yeah, and we've seen it with our defenders, Jack. You got someone like Kitchen and Thomas. If they get a little sniff that their forward isn't really going to hold the ball or is up for it, they're all over them. Yeah, and they dominate their centre forwards. And I think that's what happened yesterday. We gave in a little bit too much. Recently I've noticed that especially away from home, it's almost like the away team have given us a bit of respect in the first half, and we do quite well. The last 3 away games, we've scored first, haven't we? We should have won at Preston. They had a man sent off. We should have killed them off. Second half, Preston, different team. Unbelievable performance they put in the second half, even though we should have walloped them. Southampton, I know we got a good draw in the end, but at 1-0, 11v11, I was confident we were going to pull off a good win there until, Jay De Silva had a complete brainstorm with that tackle. And then we held on well for a draw. But that's a game where we really, I think, dropped 2 points. And then yesterday, the same. We score after 2-3 minutes against Charlton away from home. I still don't understand why we're not buzzing with confidence at being top of the league. It's almost like a burden now. It's like the joy of getting to the top of the table has disappeared in the last few games. And I know we've had a lot of matches, and that will affect. 4 games in 10 days, ridiculous. I don't understand why we played New Year's Day and we're playing. We're Friday now, playing Sunday. To me, there shouldn't have been a game on New Year's Day. We should be playing this weekend. And then the Birmingham game gets played later in the season, because there's loads of gaps later on in the season. So it's too much. It is too much. And when we are struggling in terms of all these players are injured and suffering, and I know Doug was making a big thing about, it's great having a thin squad and all that. Well, not at the minute, it's not, because these lads have been flogged like a dead horse. What's the stat about how many minutes they've played? Did you have it? Was it you?
No, Jonah came out with it yesterday. 84 minutes the players are averaging per start, and that's the second highest in the league, only behind Sheffield Wednesday, who have got the thinnest squad. So
couldn't sign anybody.
On that stat alone, we have the second thinnest squad. We've used the 3rd least amount of players or something like that with 23. Yeah. And one of them, I believe, did Ben Sheaf make an appearance? I'm just checking this.
He would have done.
Sheaf made an appearance off the bench. So he counts as a player we've used. Latabodier's played 2, and that's only because there's been illness in the camp. Otherwise, he wouldn't have played probably either game.
So what that says to me is that our manager and the coaching staff don't really trust the players who are normally on the bench to come and rotate a lot. And we are having to play the same players over and over again. And they've done incredible. Let's get this right. We've done incredibly well to be where we are. There's that post you put up about Leeds United. We've got the same amount of points as them this time last season. But we've got
I've got that here. So this is Vicky put this out on Facebook today. We're still top of the league. We're still unbeaten in 2026. Yeah, all right. That's just a bit of humour there. Top scorers in the league. We have 5 players in the top scorer list, 3 players on the top assist list. Plus, under the positive coincidental stat, we've played 25, won 15, drawn 7, lost 3. exactly the same as Leeds United, who were champions of the Championship last season. We've scored 10 more goals than they had. We've conceded 10 more as well. So the goal difference is the same, but it proves we can score goals. We've both amassed 52 points. This Leeds team last year, we were probably saying they are going to walk the league. There is no one close. I mean, Burnley and Sheffield United were also close, and it was a 3-horse race. But this year, at the moment, if this was Leeds last year, who had an 8-point gap, we would say they're walking it.
Exactly.
They won't go to the final day. So we need to be positive about this for ourselves still.
And the thing is, that Leeds squad is a way better squad than we've got.
You know, we're achieving miracles. We're overachieving for the squad we have. Absolutely.
So I think it's commendable. What's happened so far, the first half of this season, is absolutely incredible. We know that. What we don't want is to go off the rails, which is why, you know, the next month or so is really important that we get this right in the transfer market, because, you know, the squad is creaking.
Yeah.
You know, why make the squad suffer any more than what it is? Basically, it seems ridiculous.
And just regardless, 23 players that we've had.
Well, regardless of where we are on the table, this squad would still be struggling with all the injuries, you know, so they need help.
Absolutely. And to go back on that trust of the squad, so we've had 23 players play in the league, right? One of them is Ben Sheaf, who no longer is at the club, who made 1 appearance off the bench. One of them is Raphael, who made 2 appearances off the bench in the league, 1 assist on that QPR game, sent out on loan to Wigan. And one of those is Kai Andrews, who again has made 6 appearances off the bench, not trusted to start a game in the Championship. Now, I know he didn't exactly cover himself in glory in the 2 cup games he played, but it was a very heavily rotated team that started those games. So that's 20 players, really, that we're picking from. And one of those 20 is Brow, who's only started 1 game, which was Ipswich at home the other week, and has been brought off the bench 5 times. Well, 2 of those were yesterday in Southampton. So we're only really picking from a pool of players. And again, Latty's only been playing from illness in the squad. So we're only really picking from 19 players. And you have to name a 19-man squad or up to 19-man squad on a match day. So basically, if any of those 19 are unfit, whoever comes in on the bench as a replacement, don't even think about them playing a game, starting or coming off the bench, because that's the situation our squad is in. And we'll come to the comments in a minute, but I really think yesterday was a combination of what you guys alluded to on the show, and that is illness in the camp has absolutely ruined us recently. Without that, we might have picked up a few more points. We'd still be knackered, but we'd have picked up a few more points. It was a cry for help from Frank Lampard with the team he picked, basically saying to Doug, well, you've left me no option. I have to rotate this team and play the players we have. And it was enough to go and get 3 points, as we proved after 90 seconds, 2 minutes. But probably poor game management from Frank. I'll call that out. I think he managed the game poorly in that second half as a manager. He knew the pressure was there, and he let it continue with us. And when we made the change, yes, I know he brought Rudy on, but Brow didn't work, did it? But thirdly, it was also a rotation to guarantee us the best possible chance of getting the 3 points at St Andrews on Sunday. And I think he almost knew he was sacrificing the potential at 3 points yesterday to give himself a better chance at 3 points on Sunday. So he basically said, I'm going all out for 3 points on Sunday. So if we will find out after the Blues game whether this gamble that started yesterday has come off or backfired, because 4 points across those 2 games is still fantastic. It just feels awful because of how it panned out yesterday.
I think any time of the season, you'd have taken a point at Preston, because of our record there, a point at Southampton, and you've probably gone actually at worst a point at Charlton. So the 3 points away from home were very good. But I think, as most Cov fans will probably feel, we probably should have taken a bit more from three of those games, at least 2 of them. You know, so that's what's frustrating. Also, regarding the goal they scored, now I know Brown made a complete hash of it, but I don't understand why at 1-0 up, we have sent everybody forward and left him at the back on his own pretty much. I don't understand the logic in that either. So sometimes I know it's great that we want to score loads of goals, but I think it's like you're saying, sometimes you've got to manage the game a bit better. And maybe, because I'll tell you what I noticed, players jogging back when they're on that attack. They weren't really busting a gut to get in that area to put people off. I mean, Brow should have, I don't know, he should have rugby tackled him, but it was quite pathetic what he did.
Take the booking.
It was terrible because he wouldn't have got sent off. Grimes was covering.
Yeah.
You know, and he didn't know whether not to stick or twist, did he? Matt Grimes, he was caught between deep blue sea and the whatever you want to cut. Yeah, he didn't know what to do, did he? Stick or twist, like I say, he couldn't get across to. And in the end, I mean, the guy shot. I feel sorry for Carl Rushworth because if the guy had hit it harder, the chances are the rebound would have gone beyond the player running in. But he, it's very unfortunate there. And had it not been for Rushworth, we could have actually lost the game. So I'm surprised with our tactics at times where we don't need to be so bold and brash and just keep throwing bodies forward.
Although the counter to that is if we do stick a second in, Kaminsky made a couple of good saves right in front of us as fans.
Yeah.
If he doesn't make some of those saves and one of those goes in for 2-0, that's game over, isn't it, basically?
Well, it is. And we had half chances. The most threatening forward was Liam Kitchen at one point.
Should have scored. Kaminsky made a brilliant save right in front of us.
So it was, I mean, it was frustrating. And I think if you're a City fan, you're used to being frustrated. That's what it's all about, isn't it? Except we're being frustrated, sat on the top of the Championship, the 6th hardest league in the world, as far as I'm concerned. And we're on the top of the tree.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
right, should we get some comments in?
And we're going to be on the top of the table, and I think the next chance of us being knocked off, we'd have surpassed the second longest time of being at the top of any table. So there you go.
Am I right in thinking that the Millwall game on the Tuesday or Wednesday night in 2 weeks is the first time we could be off the table, off the top?
Yeah, but we've got to keep losing, and everyone has to keep winning. So yeah.
Yeah, well, that's 3 weeks away.
Yeah. Josie Tilly says, I'm disappointed in the scores, but we've had a lot of illness and a lot of games in a short space of time. We're still top of the league. Sky Blue Army says, need a statement win and be only the second team to beat Birmingham on their patch. Looking at the next few games, Ipswich have on paper easier games. Got to get our mojo back to stay ahead of the pack. The fact that Middlesbrough are losing now, they've not scored a goal in 4 games. Sky Blue Army says, in other news, guys, I've just read an article saying we're in talks of possible loan for Roman Esse of Crystal Palace. Now that's a kind of attacking player we could do with. Yes, he does like a dribble, and he's big and strong, and Mark Patman says, Happy New Year. Let's hope it's a good one with loads of Coventry wins. M. King says, condolences to Miles. Thank you for that. I'm sure he'll watch this back and he'll see all the messages. King Carlos says, oh no, Wayne Littlewood first. What's happened to Wright? Never seen a player look so disinterested. His walk-off was weird. King Carlos, great finish by Sims. It's a very much a Sims finish, that, to be honest. We've said before on the show, if he actually starts, there's a good chance he'll score. Liam was. I didn't think much to the pitch, to be honest, but I guess it's January, so they better get used to it. Glenn Watkins says, Torp only started 4 of the last 9 games, too. That's right. He has. He banned somebody. Who was that then?
Don't worry about it, banned. Don't worry about what he was saying either.
All right. Who's he having to go at? Going into games, think we are going to win, seem to have disappeared. And now we're back to hoping we put in a decent performance. Confidence has been shot. It's interesting because lots of teams have put in a 4 or 5 game run. We put in a massive 10 game run, didn't we, really? Which has been the difference. Lee Beckett, without doubt, 6 points dropped in those games. Cameron De Rossi says, I heard we are talking to Crystal Palace winger. Yeah,
we'll come to transfer potential rumours and stuff in a little bit.
Appledore Man says the reason Ellis and Hadji couldn't hold the ball was that Charlton's players were clashing into them very hard from behind before they had a chance to control the ball. Yes, they're giving us a tough time, weren't they? Still 8 points ahead. It's amazing at this stage in the season, says King Carlos. Stuart Leadham says, I think we need to give some credit to the way Charlton played. I think he alluded to that, though, didn't he, Frank, by saying they play in the character of the manager, which is true, actually. Got Lee Byrne up front, just a big lump, isn't he, basically, but in his handful. Rob Holmes, McKenna was annoyed with the EFL, with Ipswich having 3 away games and only 1 home game in 10 days. Not ideal travelling. It's a nonsense, all these matches. Glenn Watkin, 3 wins in 8 games since Rodoni came back in and started games after injury. That's Costello, hopefully not a relation to the guy who scored yesterday. Do we think that Lampard started Eccles, Allen and KKK to, I think it's KKH, point to Doug regard needing more signings, leaving Saka and EMC on the bench seemed bizarre to me. There must be issues, worse than we probably think, actually. Fran Hunter, maybe decent loans in Jan with an option of summer buy if they prove their worth. Then if we go up, God forbid, we won't be facing potential player wage conflicts next season. Gavson Legrand says, looks like Middlesbrough struggling too. Lee Lishman says, sorry to hear about Mars losing his dog. Watching game back, looked fairly lucky to not to lose. It's been a while since we scored twice in a game now. Frank's tried different formation. Let's stick to the best 11. This is Robbo. Cop fans really need to stick with the team. Don't leave early if losing. We're top of the league. I know we're going to pick things up very soon. Every team has a rocky patch. We're having ours now. Pirot would be a good signing, says Daniel Watts. M. King says, Middlesbrough is missing one of their backline starters, Alfie Jones. They've lost each game he's missed. I see Stokes keeper's out for 2 months, I reckon, as well. Anthony Pettifer, let's not forget what we've achieved. We can and will go again once we get over this hectic games period. Wayne Littlewood says, been an incredible first half. However, next month we cannot afford a bad month. Reinforcements are badly needed and hopefully some quality and not just squad players. Mark Packman, we need at least 4 new players in that are going to help with our injuries. But what players is another dilemma. It certainly is. Glenn says, fair point. We've not had our best squad available for a consistent run of games. We've been consistently missing players all season. And it feels worse when you only got a thin squad, to be honest. The conversation Frank, Doug and Dean Austin had about new players in the window happened months ago, says Mark Rainbow.
I'm sure it did.
I expect some of those players to be dropping down to the under 23s have been shipped out, to be honest. Nathan Sullivan says Ipswich will finish top. We will go up in 2nd place. Ice Chips says, let's also not forget that brilliant Ipswich team were beaten 3-0 at home by an awful Charlton team at home. I know, it doesn't make any sense. Thank you, Claudio. Kept saying the same thing for their goal. No need for everyone to be forward, and how their man was able to be there for a parry while the rest were jogging. Yes. It's amazing what you can see when you rewatch things, to be honest. Breaking news. Coventry City are in advanced talks with Strasbourg over a possible deal for Ben Chilwell. Oh, really? Well, I'll take him.
Wages.
Don't worry about the wages. Everyone says wages. Who knows? We'll borrow some from our neighbours. They've got loads. Cameron De Rossi, Frank should rest the players against Stoke, play the under-21s and rest the first 11 till the Leicester game. I think he will anyway. He's got no choice. I think it'd be interesting. We've got Robbo says, all these transfer rumours, believe it when they see the players in Sky Blue kit. Agents are working their magic in Jan. It's the first time ever I've heard of us being linked with so many players on the first day of the window. Normally we hear nothing. Whoever that is. Everyone gets too excited when the window opens. Would Doug really throw away the model to get over the line or keep with it, get there eventually? Well, this will be interesting. It will be interesting what happens now because he said no loans. That's what he used to say. But I don't think you can survive without them. Lee Lishman, if we get loans in, which would be preferable because of the unknown of which division we'll be in come May. Sides won't loan their best if they don't play week in, week out.
As well.
I'll read Assassins Unite. We are top of the league. Let's try to enjoy it. Basically, every game is a cup final now.
Yeah, it's one way of looking at it. Absolutely.
All right, back to you, Jack.
Right, well, we have our Birmingham City fan Claire in the background. So as that's our next game, let's get Claire in and hear some insight into what we might expect on Sunday. Good evening, Claire.
Good evening, Claire.
Hi, everyone. Hi.
Yes, and a big sky blue welcome. It's the Sky Blue Blues derby on Sunday, isn't it? I keep thinking, I can't.
Very confusing at the moment, trying to work out what day it is.
Now, since you've last been on, we were setting records galore, and you've unveiled plans for a state-of-the-art stadium. You've also had a real mixed bag of results. Away form not great, although at home you've only lost once. So it's not going according to plan, is it, for the owners? So, I mean, you're a diehard Blue fan. You've seen it from home and away for years.
Definitely.
This isn't what the owners were expecting this season, was it?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know exactly what their sort of target is for this season. I think obviously long term it's definitely the Premier League. Whether that's, I think Ipswich set a bit of a thing, didn't they, for going up twice 2 seasons in a row, but that's quite unusual. And I think personally I'd rather see us take a bit more time, do it properly and build, because I think otherwise there's an awful lot of teams just go up and come straight back down again. But yeah, I think particularly away it's not working at the moment. I think, as you guys were just saying, I think we're in the same position. We've got a lot of injuries. We've got someone away in the African Cup. We've got a couple of suspensions as well. And we're like running out of kids on the bench, running out of bodies at the moment, and not much there's a lot of flack about Davis and stuff, but actually I don't think he's got a lot of choice over who he's putting out and in what, he's playing people out of position and stuff, because we haven't got, I think, again, looking at January and really hoping that we'll sign, make some signings and bolster the squad, because at the moment there just isn't sort of enough there and enough depth to cover for, got a couple of important long-term injuries and then people coming in and out. And it looked against Watford, there were a couple of people who came back in who probably shouldn't and wouldn't have done if we'd had better sort of, other people to bring in, and both ended up going off again after sort of, 60, 70 minutes, taking knocks again. So it feels like it was sort of, running out of people at the moment and players. So yeah, I think January would be really important, and hopefully that'll kick us on. I'd like us to finish, mid-table, top half mid-table would be, fine for this season, hopefully build from there. And see what happens.
Now I think the most disappointing thing for Blues fans this season is probably your faltering forward line. I sent you a message saying, how are they going to start turning into world-class, because no doubt they'll turn into world-class strikers come Sunday, because Diogo hasn't scored yet, has he? Dykes has scored 2.
He hasn't scored a league goal. He scored against Sheffield United in the Cup, and to be fair, Sheffield United were awful, and probably anybody could have scored that night. He scored, I mean, it's a mixture, I don't know if it's unlucky, just not quite fitting. I mean, he scored 3 or 4 goals that have been offside, bits and pieces like that. But yeah, he hasn't, I don't know if he was the best signing. We're sure he scored loads of goals for Celtic, but I'm not sure that sort of translates. He went to Rennes, hardly played, didn't score for them. So he didn't actually score a league goal in 2025 for, either of the clubs that he played at. Scored 1 goal in the Cup, and that's not a record that, is going to get us anywhere. So yeah, I think, we definitely need another striker up front, and hopefully that's the priority for January, is getting somebody else in who can score goals. I mean, he's unlucky at times, but equally, and he works hard. I think the fans don't get on him too much because he works hard, he runs around, he presses a lot, and he does work really, really hard. But obviously, he's in the side to score goals at some point. I think for Celtic he scored every other game, but I think it's a bit different in the Championship, and we could do with somebody who can.
I got visions of Milosevic when he was at Villa and he hadn't scored all season, and I think he got either 2 or 3 against us and we lost. So that's
maybe Sunday will be his redemption. You won't want to go. Doesn't fancy going back to Scotland. So I think on Sunday.
I think Villa had that Argentinian as well. He did exactly the same, or Colombian. Where it's like it's prime for Cov City to turn up really on Sunday. Also, the other player that surprised me, because when you played us at our place, and obviously the sending off made a massive difference.
Yeah.
Was Kumas. Now, I like Kumas, and I thought he was having a really good game that day, and he pulled him, which I thought was weird. And the first thing I thought was, that's done us a favour, because he was causing us trouble. So he's not really done a lot either this season, has he?
Not really. He's fast. He's very, very fast. And again, lots of like running up and down the wing, but he just doesn't seem to be able to either beat him out or put a good cross in. He does sort of all the hard work, but then sort of ends up in the corner and can't sort of get the final pass in, or can't beat his man and come in. And it just isn't quite working. So I don't know if it's, he's used to playing in a sort of different formation or with different sort of players around him and stuff. But that one doesn't seem to be 100% working at the moment. He got subbed on early actually because of an injury in our last home game, but then actually got subbed back off again. So it just, I don't know, it just isn't quite gelling. I know he's done well, and Stoke fans, really rated him and recommended him when he did come to us. So again, whether something will happen and change, but he hasn't sort of quite lived up to, I think, what we were hoping for him.
I suppose the talismanic figure is Stansfield, and how's he been doing this season? Because we've not really heard of him in the news like last year.
Yeah, he's been doing all right. He has, again, taken a couple of knocks and been in and out. He did very well last season, and then he played for the in the Euros for the under-21s, so he didn't get a break, and I think that's really starting to show now in that he's been in and out. He took another knock on Boxing Day, so he wasn't even on the bench on New Year's Day and stuff, and I think that's kind of catching up with him in that he's he had a really good game, but he got a dead leg on Boxing Day, had to go off, and then wasn't even in the squad. And so he's I think being a bit down. I don't think that's, again, he's one of those players that works really hard. He does an awful lot of pressing and running around, but I think with no break, sort of at the start of the season, that sort of seems to be catching up with him now, and he looks a bit tired at times, and struggling to, I think he always tries to sort of play. He plays at a very high tempo, and I don't know that you can keep that up without a break or getting knocks and stuff, which seems to be setting him back a little bit as well. So we haven't really had that kind of settled, struggling a bit lately. So don't know how Sunday's going to go.
Do you think, because what you've done is similar to us. We've somehow found an extra 20,000 supporters in the last 10 years. And you've done similar with your home gates recently. Do you find that there's like a new breed and an old breed of fan, where the old breed, they know what it's like being a Blues fan, like we know being a Sky Blues fan, and now there's fans coming in to the club who've just seen a bit of success and think the level of expectations are that high that they're seeing this season as a bit of a rubbish season.
Yeah,
get that impression.
Definitely. I think it is tricky, because I think I've definitely seen us in worse places, in worse form, and also without I think it's not great at the moment, but I think the setup at the club is probably better than it's ever been, or as good as when Karen Brady and the Gold brothers were in charge, which was our most sort of successful period. And I think hopefully it will come good, and I think we're in a much better position than we have been at lots of other times when it's not been going brilliantly, to sort it out and to be able to sort of work out how to do it. So fingers crossed. But I think you're right. I think some people, and again, teams like Ipswich and other teams sort of go on that crazy run and do really well and sort of set a very high standard, and people think, oh yeah, well, we can do that too. But as I think you guys were saying earlier, the Championship is so, any team can beat any other team. It comes down to really fine margins. There's been games where we've hit the post, hit the bar, something, a slight thing has gone, and that, that's enough to sort of change the game. And so I think it's tricky, because I think every club is trying to do that same thing, aren't they? And then, results, a couple of results here and there can make a big difference to where you are in the table, and then it gets frustrating, and then it's tricky for the players because the fans aren't, right behind them and stuff. And it's tricky.
Now you were saying about the signings, and you made quite a few in the summer. So have you got any wiggle room this month? Are you allowed to make any more signs? I don't know what PRS and all that. Do you think you can, or you have to let people go?
I don't know. I think we're in quite a good. I think we're in a good position for that. I think that's definitely, one of the things that is different at the club compared with an awful lot of other seasons, is that, Tom Wagner is a very good businessman. They've done a lot around the ground to bring money in for things like, the sort of fan zones before and after the match, and doing all that kind of thing, which I think then brings you the money in but doesn't count in terms of what they've spent. So I think they've done a really good job at sorting that out. And I think some of the signings so far haven't worked brilliantly. So hopefully there's room to to sort that out and potentially swap a couple of those out and bring different people in, the ones that aren't working. I think we'd love to keep Roberts, that we've got from Sunderland. I think he's brilliant. He's one of the, he looks like one of our best players. We miss him when he's not in the side. So I think we'd love to keep hold of him. I think we definitely need another striker. Ideally a defender as well. We're struggling with injuries, particularly at the back. Got one defender away. A couple of long-term injuries, shorter-term injuries, and then Clara suspended as well. So we really, could do with sort of, front and back getting sorted out a little bit.
Sounds like a team full of injuries and suspensions on.
Yeah, definitely.
Jack's got some stats to show with this. Now you're currently 17th, which I must admit I hadn't realised, because I'm not trying to be funny. I'm focusing on Ipswich, Middlesbrough, and Hull, and whoever else is in the top 6. And I hadn't realised how far you'd fallen, which is surprised me.
Yeah.
So have you got any concerns? Because I know, obviously, when you were last in the Championship, you spent 6 seasons messing about in this sort of area of the league and not make any progress. And I remember you saying, eventually, what's going to happen. So I think this is a tricky period of the season now, isn't it, for you guys, I think?
Yeah. Definitely, and I think it will. I think if we don't make any signings or don't make the right signings, I think that will make a big difference. I think it is still tight, and I think a couple of games, a couple of wins, and depending on other results, and suddenly you bounce right back up again. So hopefully it's still close enough that, like poor Sheffield Wednesday, I think are very much, down there, all their points deductions and stuff like that. But I think there's a fair chunk in the middle that are still close enough that, with a couple of good results, it brings us back into sort of top half easily. I think the next sort of next few weeks, with a couple of good signings could make all the difference. And if not, I don't think the owners will let us get to the point where it would, we would go down. I would hate to see them sack Davis now. I don't think that would be the right decision at all. I know some people are calling for it and some people are fed up, but I don't think, people criticise his team selection, but I'm not sure he's got a great deal to sort of select from and stuff. And I'm not sure that anybody would do a lot better. I think if they don't bring the right people in, it's not going to make any difference anyway in terms of players, rather than, changing the manager. But equally, I guess, a couple more months and, we might need that sort of new manager bounce, whoever it is, and, a couple of games there. But I hope not. I think I'd like to see him stay, and but obviously not at the expense of going back to League One.
Yeah. Jack, what's the stats you've got?
Well, yeah, like Claudia, I hadn't realised you'd fallen that far down the table. Again, with no disrespect, we're looking at the top 12, not really anywhere else, because it's not relevant to us right now. Watford, by the way, where have they come from our point of view? They look like they're going to knock on the door.
Yeah.
But yeah, Birmingham, last 10 games, like Claudia said, only one loss at home all season, which is fantastic. Yeah. That's the sort of form you want, and you will stay in the division. Simple as. But last 10 games, it's only 2 wins, 4 draws, 4 losses, but you've scored 12. So typically, you do score, you just let in more than you score. Yeah, and then the last 6, and that would put you 21st in a last 10-game form table. Yeah. Excuse me. And then the last 6, no wins, 3 draws, 3 losses, 23rd in the form table, only being held up by Sheffield Wednesday, who are on minus 83 points. But again, you've scored, 4 goals in 6 games. So you are scoring, you're just letting it run.
Enough. Yeah, so definitely.
You are going to score against us. We can't keep clean sheets. It's as simple as that. You will score, and it will probably be Kyogo. But
he'll come on and score a hat-trick and then we'll never hear from him again.
But it depends whether you can keep us out. We don't look the most dangerous going forward. Like Claudia said a couple of weeks ago, when our strikers get on the ball, I don't think, oh, wow, big chance. I'm excited now. You think, okay, we're in the final third, put a ball in, oh, it's been cleared. Or along those lines. So you've got defensive issues. Like you say, Clara's out suspended, and you've got injuries. That hopefully will play into our hands, I hope.
Yeah.
But the last few games with a small squad, injuries, suspensions, playing 4 games in 10 days, you're in a similar boat to us in that your form's dropped off because you've not got the squad that can compete at this level.
Definitely, because we had a period before that where 3 home games in a row we scored 4, we won 4-0, 4-0 and 4-1, and it was all just gelling really nicely, working well. And it's not a massively different sort of team or setup or different style. It's just, I think sometimes, there's not much that sways it. It hits the bar, hits the post instead of going in and things. And it feels like it's very fine margins with a lot of the games as to whether it just goes for us or just doesn't. I think pretty much all the games we've lost, we've conceded first, and then we struggle to, sometimes we pull it back for a draw, but we struggle to get back into it. So, but I think it feels a bit like with the kids where their heads are really up or down, they score first, they get on a roll and off they go. And it feels like it's very, very tight. And we've had odd games where, we should have scored a couple in the first 10 minutes, haven't, and then struggled. And it's, I think the first sort of few minutes, first goal are really crucial. I think it'd be the same again on Sunday, that whoever starts well, gets the first goal, will have that momentum and that sort of confidence then to hopefully go on. And but yeah, I think if we let another one in early, a lot of those games recently, we let an early goal in and it all just kind of goes to pot. So I think the first few minutes and first goal are going to be really important.
Well, ironically, we were just discussing that our last 3 away games, we've scored first and failed to win.
Oh, so right. So
we're the team that gives you the chance on Sunday.
Yeah, anything could happen then. This could be,
anyone's game.
So if you could give out Player of the Season awards already, which 3 players have stood out for you so far for the Blues this season?
For the Blues, I really like Roberts. I think he's a really good, and I think if we could keep hold of him, I think, again, another Loney Doyle from Wolves, I think there's talk of them recalling him back, but I think, he, again, stands out. He is that sort of slightly better class of player. I think we definitely, those 2 particularly, and Damari Gray, when he's on form, when he's on his game, absolutely beautiful touch, like some of the balls, the way he takes them down, the way he crosses them, and a couple of those goals that he scored recently, really lovely footballer and really high quality, but again, I think has probably played sometimes when he has had a knock, perhaps shouldn't have played, should have come off maybe, and has stuck it out, and probably with more depth in the squad, we wouldn't have needed to do that, or I don't know if that's sort of his choice or how that's managed and stuff. But yeah, when he's on form and when he's playing well, he's brilliant. But occasionally does look like he's not quite 100%, and is sort of hanging in there a little bit. But yeah, he's definitely a great signing, and I think if we can kind of look after him a bit and some of the other players, he'd be a good one to keep.
I don't think Roberts didn't start against us, did he, at our place? I think he came on as a sub.
Yeah, no, I don't think he's definitely kind of come more into, become more and more important. Yeah, very good player, really committed, fast, good quality, good touch as well. So I think, the more, and again, it was a shame, we played Sheffield United before Christmas, and a good friend of mine is a Sunderland fan, and he was like, Roberts has got a brilliant record against Sheffield United. He's relegated, they all hate him. He's relegated them. He's done this against them and stuff. And then, for whatever reason, he didn't play in that game. And that one all went to pot as well. So I think again, when he's fit and on form, he's really crucial player in our side.
Now, before, I've got a couple of questions. One, obviously, our predictions, but this one's about the new stadium. Your thoughts? Obviously, it's been ridiculed, as no doubt that was always going to happen with the design. I've got to say that the images I've seen from what it looks like from inside the ground, it looks better than from the outside bit. I'm not too sure about it, Claire, with all these chimneys. I don't know. I didn't realise that part of Birmingham was to do with the brick making. I was surprised.
Definitely. And I think a lot of the industry, my dad loved it, and I think it's that mix, isn't it, of the tradition and the new stuff. I think it's nice that it doesn't look like every other stadium, possibly not to everyone's taste. I think it'd be interesting to see, how it sort of actually comes to pass. But I think, I like that fact. It's not going to look like everything else. That link to the heritage and things. I think like a lot of things, the owners do seem to spend a lot of time looking at that sort of stuff, thinking about it, kind of planning it, talking to a lot of different people about it. So hopefully, when it's kind of there, it'll look as it should. Looking forward to seeing it take shape.
So do you think you'll fill it?
I don't know, and I don't know that that's it's not, that's not sort of its sole purpose. I think it's designed so that it can have, you know, it doesn't need to be, but I think again they put a lot of thought into, you know, the seats will be close to the pitch, that, you know, the banking of it and all that kind of thing. So I think they put a lot of thought into it. I think we took, and have done in the past, took, you know, sort of nearly 50,000 to Wembley for the Virtue Trophy final. Many moons ago, when we last won that sort of level trophy, we took 50,000 to Wembley then. So I think that, you know, the fans are there. They're doing, again, the club are doing a lot of work with local schools and things like that. One of the places they took the model of the stadium to before it was shown to other people was to a local school to talk them through it and how they've done it. So they're doing a lot of work kind of in and around the community and trying to make it more of a, you know, I think like a lot of clubs make it more of like the match day experience and stuff, and sort of something that families want to come to. And I think, you know, if we're in the Premier League, I think absolutely no problem. If we're not, potentially not. But I think, yeah, the idea is that it's part of, you know, building, and, you know, like Man City did, that, you know, you build it up and, you know, you get good enough to fill it week in, week out, and it's kind of ready for when we're at that level. And hopefully those two things will, It's
just a shame that yet again another ground's going to go, isn't it? Like, obviously, Goodison has this last season.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, obviously for us, it was a great place because we won the league there, didn't we? So we're all happy. I mean, actually, going on to predictions, I mean, our record at Blues, apart from that season, is pretty dire, really. It's not been great over the years historically.
Definitely. And I do remember, like, last time I came on this a couple of years ago, when we were doing, shockingly, and we did end up getting relegated, and I literally said, I'm sure I said something like, I can't see how we're going to score another goal this season. And then we won 3-0. I'm not quite sure how that came to pass. Obviously, I'd love that to happen again on Sunday, but I don't know. Again, I can't quite see how that would happen. But
I think that was the week before the semi-final, wasn't it, Jack?
Yep.
And I reckon half our team were already thinking of Wembley that day, because
definitely.
We didn't look like we were trying. It was ridiculous.
And we just sort of had some random little burst of momentum, and which quickly disappeared again straight afterwards. It was as it can be. It's doesn't always.
I worry about Sunday because
again,
you've drawn the last 3 home games. We've drawn the last 3 away games. It can't go on, can it? It can't be another draw, can it? So I think someone's going to steal this either way, 1-0 or 2-1. And I would put you slightly favourites for this one, unfortunately. I just feel because we've hit a bit of bad form in terms of our injuries and all the rest of it. And we're going to a place where you're not going to want to lose to us, that's for sure, after what happened at our place. So you lot are going to be fired up. Your crowd's going to be fired up. I can see you just sneaking this, but with my Coventry City head on, I'm going to have to go for a draw. I can't say you're going to beat us. So it could be, I'll tell you what, I mean, it's on telly, isn't it, as well? It's midday. Anything can happen. We've been pretty good at midday, haven't we, Jack, actually? Have we been pretty good?
Yeah, I think as early kickoffs go, we beat Derby 5-3. We drew away at Norwich. We drew at Leicester. Sheffield Wednesday, we won 5-0. I'm just trying to glance through the fixtures. Stoke, was that a 3 o'clock or was that an early one?
That was 3 o'clock, I think.
Okay. I'm
sure
definitely Baggies, we won 3-2 after being 2-0 down.
Yeah, so we might be all right.
We don't lose. We don't lose in an early kickoff.
No,
but we draw away from home in an early kickoff.
Well, there you go. I'm going 1-1 then. So, what do you think?
Oh, I don't know. I think it totally depends who we actually end up with on the pitch. I'd love to see us win 2-1. I'm not convinced I'll see that happen, but I'll go with that as a hopeful, maybe sort of prediction that 2-1 to Blues.
Jack?
Yeah, I think it is a 2-1 either way, but I've got to back Cov. Your defence is all over the place. Your form shot. We're top of the league. That's what we can hold on to. Our form is awful as well, but at the end of the day, we're top of the league, and there's nothing more to play for than winning the division. That is literally everything to play for. So on that basis, if we can't fire up our own team to go win a local derby, get our form back on track, then I don't know what else we can get motivated for. So I'm going to go with a 2-1 win. I don't know where the goals are coming from. Probably own goals from you guys. That helps us in the first game.
Yeah.
So I think we will do it 2-1.
Yeah. Actually, I do have to say, though, Robinson, bless him, I mean, he had that terrible start. He played 3 games, got 2 red cards and scored an own goal, and was not a fan's favourite at all. In the last couple of games, he's been brought back in literally because of injuries and suspension, and actually has been player of the game probably the last two games. He's sort of really stepped up and totally transformed kind of the fans' view of him, having a very, very rocky start, and we were all ready to send him straight back. And last couple of games he's come good, but maybe not enough. Clara will still be out, so we'll see how it goes.
I'm gonna have to read this out, Claire, because you are one of our most popular guests on this show. They've toned it down this time, I have to say. They've behaved themselves, but this is a lovely message from Dave Green, who says, the guest from Birmingham has a more professional presenting voice and a far more insight worth listening to than most of professional female sports presenters on Sky, BBC and TNT. There you go.
Oh, thank you very much.
And then goes on to say, you could add CWR to that list too. Well done, Claire, proving it's about the quality of your comments, nothing else.
Oh, thank you. Well,
but you've been watching it for years, haven't you?
I have, and I've seen. I think definitely that is the thing that keeps me going, is that it's definitely been in a far worse state off the pitch and behind the scenes, in terms of, as a lot of clubs have had, very random owners, very shady sort of ownership. I think maybe even maybe the first time I think we weren't quite sure who even owned the club properly and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I think, from that side of things, I think that gives me a lot more confidence that, the form is not there at the moment. It's all, it's not going particularly well. But I think behind the scenes, that sort of kind of the management of the club and the way that works is definitely in a much better place than it's been for probably, 20 odd years. So I think that gives me slight hope, and sort of that, it's not as bad as it has been.
So if I was to give you a £10 note now, and I said to you, pick a number, where do you think you'd finish this season now?
I think 12th.
Would you be happy with that?
I think, particularly bearing in mind where we are now, I think that would sort of do for this season, with a view to it being playoffs next season. And I don't know, I could cope with playoffs this season, particularly the way it's been so up and down and stuff. I think 12th this season and playoffs next.
I think if we finish 12th now, I'll destroy this room.
That would be a lot more disappointing, I think, from where we both currently are. That would definitely be.
That's the problem with us Cov fans now, because we've got off to such a good start, and it is unbelievable. I don't care whoever it is at the top.
Yeah.
And we're trying to work out, oh yes, it is us. We are that team who are top of the table, and we're doing it with just a small squad, which is even mad. It's just mad, really, that we're there, and we've got no idea if we can maintain it. Basically, we don't know what's going to happen now from one game to the next, because it's become so tricky. And we were just saying, 4 games in 10 days when you haven't got much of a squad is hard. And I don't think there was any reason to play on New Year's Day. This should have been the fixture now. Or we should have played those games this weekend, and we should be playing you later on in the season, because there's loads of blank weeks.
Yeah,
it's just ridiculous. But thank you for coming on. Always a pleasure to have you on here. And we may not be talking to you next season, unfortunately.
No, that is very true. So hopefully it won't, because we've gone down. But fingers crossed it's not quite.
Can you imagine if you go down and we don't get promoted? What a disaster that is.
Definitely. Hopefully it can't quite go that badly wrong. I know sometimes we have ups and downs, both as clubs, and sort of not always the most positive outcomes. But I think
whatever happens, Claire, Villa cannot win the Premier League. That cannot happen.
Oh God, no! Can you imagine like that? That would just be like the full sort of house of totally depressing sort of things.
Yeah, that cannot happen.
Imagine if Wolves stay up as well.
Oh.
That would be quite a miracle. I think that would actually be. I don't think anybody should be putting money on that. That's not a safe bet. But
Thanks
fingers crossed. Well, let's hope it's a good game as well, and that it's at least somebody scores, something happens, and it's a good one to watch.
Brilliant. Thanks again, and we'll speak to you soon.
Thanks very much. See you. Bye.
Thank you. Right. Well, we said we're only doing an hour, Claudio, but we're almost there. So let's try and fly through our next couple of bits. Is Lampard going to Chelsea? Yes or no?
No.
I really hope he doesn't. The problem is, I said to my mate the other day,
No.
I see Lampard doesn't want to go to Chelsea, but Todd Bowley's got a big enough checkbook that Lampard could go to Chelsea. He was favourite yesterday. Liam Rossini's favourite today. Thank God.
I've got to say, that is a weird one as well. Just weird. I don't get it.
No,
I've no idea what they're doing at that club. Apparently, it's interesting though. Apparently, they were saying that Maresca was going against the medical advice and playing players that shouldn't have been playing, apparently, making them play and all sorts of things.
It's not worked.
No. So I'll read a load of comments out, shall I?
Yeah, fly for them.
We got a few here. We'll read them out. Jacob, would you recall Raphael back from loan? He's been ripping it up apparently for Wigan. Well, it does depend, because it depends if we get anybody. I'm presuming we're going to get people in.
I don't think he's ripping it up. I think we should recall him and loan him elsewhere to get more games, because if we bring in wingers, if we don't recall him and have him as a squad player, but he's not been ripping it up, to be honest.
Lee Lishman says, I've made peace with the possibility of not finishing top. I'm looking at staying ahead of Borough or any late runners. They are real rivals for promotion. Jim Smith says, slight bit of bad luck. Allen and Kitchen score their great chances. No one is complaining. True. Two quality wingers linked with us today by two reliable sources. Interesting. Well, Doug hasn't any choice because this is the only time we've got the opportunity to get into the Premiership. Well, yes, that's the thing, isn't it now? Mark Rainbow, given the players we have been linked with, what are the odds the first player through the door we have never heard of? Which is true, because normally the rumours mean absolutely nothing with us. So Ian Small says, oh, it's that voice again. Yeah. Gilly P says, the illness in the camp is evident. Real drop-off in performances, but that's because you have a light squad. What do you think of Roman Esse or Tyreek George? Well, both will be very good additions to this squad.
Well, as everyone's mentioning it, let's look at this. So we've both been linked. Both us and Swansea have been linked with Lyle Abada. He's at Charlotte FC, so he has been linked with us. And both us and Swansea have been linked with Raksaki, the younger brother of the other guy, the other Raksaki. We were linked with him in the summer. I don't know how true it was, but we were linked with him in the summer. So it looks like we've got a bit of a rivalry with Swansea on potentially signing this Lyle Abada. And also today, we've been linked with Joel Pirot and Romain Esse, as everyone keeps mentioning. Now, again, we have no idea how true this is. We can only comment on rumours, and we will only ever find something out when someone's through the door or half an hour before they're through the door, because that seems to be what happens in the last 2 or 3 years. So what do you think of these signings, Claudio? Would you take any of them, all of them, none of them? And where would that?
I'll take all of them. The Pirot and Esse, they would come in and start.
Yes.
Current form, absolutely. They would come into the team and start. This is what we want. We don't want players to be sat on the bench and just come on because these guys will want to be playing. You can't sign Pirot and not play him. But he was at Swansea in a team that was okay. They played nice football. Obviously, Matt Grimes was there. He scored a lot of goals for them, and they didn't create a lot of chances, but he seemed to put everyone away almost. And he's a player who can play as a 10, he can play as a centre forward, and you got the other guy he's got great feet, great speed. I've been saying it, we're lacking pace.
And he's got minimal Premier League experience, but a lot of Championship experience for Millwall as well. So they're players that we keep saying need to be proven at this level, and they both are proven at this level with experience of a higher level as well. It can only be a good thing. And like you say, they both come in and start.
If you play for Millwall, you've got fire in your belly. I don't know any Millwall player who's not played for them. It's just up and at it, and has got a fight in them. They just have, haven't they? That's why every year in the Championship, they're top half or knocking on the playoff door or in the playoff. They're always there or thereabouts, aren't they? So they're always we know, well, they'll be hammered in the season, but they are normally a tough lot to play against. So and Crystal Palace, they don't sign any mugs, do they? Either. So they paid about $5 million for him, I think.
I'm not sure, if I'm honest.
They paid good money for him.
I don't tend to follow the transfers of mid-table Premier League clubs.
Oh, I do. Alex Robertson, as you right, is a real enigma. He's got the tools to be a top player. He's on the periphery of the US national team in the World Cup year, and the tournament is on a home soil, and yet his performances are strangely flat. You think this would be the perfect moment to see him take off, but it's just not happening, is it? When he walked off the pitch, Jack, you were saying you're near the front.
Yeah.
Did he clap at all or applaud? He just seemed to
He
trudge
did.
off.
When he realised he was off, he was obviously looking at the fourth official centre bit, and he instantly turned and went, "I'm going to walk at the fans." So he'd got that bit of, something in his head that went, "I'll walk at the fans," and he clapped and clapped and clapped. And when he got, it was only about 5-10 yards to the touchline. When he got there, the gap between the touchline and the goal and the boards was literally like that. So he had to sort of scramble through the back of the net to get round the goal, and then his head was down and he walked. But at that point, he's looked at the fans, he's clapped them, and then he's had to sort of do an obstacle course just to walk around the side of the pitch. So yes, he did, but he didn't have a lovely reaction. And to be fair, we didn't really sing his name at that point either. We were more fussed about Mason Clark coming on with 2.5 minutes to go more than Hadji in his performance.
Yeah, and sometimes it's all about the camera work, isn't it? Because I've seen photographs of people. It's the old classic thing they used to do. The old paparazzi, they'd shout your name, you look across like that, and when you're looking at something or staring, it looks like you're up to something, and then the headline is Jack is up to something. Basically, you're just looking, and he was just, to me, just like he was walking off, and straight away people are going, "Oh, look, he's not applauding." He's not going to applaud the fans all the way around the pitch, is he?
No.
I think we're a bit too touchy-feely about that whole thing at times. Mark Friel, even though I really hope Frank goes out and gets a natural goal scorer who knows how to put the ball in on a more consistent basis. Somebody says they can't see anything about Chilwell on Romano's feed. Cameron Rossi, what's frustrating is that we're not physical and strong to keep the ball or attack. If we get pushed, we easily fall down looking for the referee to give the foul, not anything. Played till the whistle. I thought Josh was on his backside too much yesterday. There's too many times now we're putting our hands up looking for offsides as well. Just get on with it, boys. Steve Curry says, "Evening, happy new year, everyone. Whoever we sign in the window, we need to sign 1 or 2 players with pace. Santi, the only player in the team with blistering pace, and he's injured." Jonah looked really depressed after the Charlton game. I think King Carlos had had a beer, basically, which is what M. King's confirming there. I believe he was living in Hangover City. This is from Sean McLaughlin. "Sorry, Birmingham. Thanks for the ground share, but dropping points in this game shouldn't be an option." Steve Long says, "Temperature expected to be around 0 on Sunday. With Hadji's current movement, it could turn into an ice sculpture during the game." Cameron Dross said, "I would rather have Bissett playing than Wright. He always looks hungry in the games more than Wright." I think those bridges have been burnt. Kyogo has to be the biggest flop of the blue signing, says Not Sure 95. It just shows you the difference between the Premiership in Scotland and the quality down here. That league is nowhere near as good as the Championship, is it? Alex 3600. I really like the design of Birmingham's new stadium. At least it isn't photocopy of the Riverside Stadium like a lot of stadiums are.
It's got character. That's what you can say for it.
Yeah, we shouldn't fear anyone if we play to our strengths. Peter Doolan. Hi, guys. Some great rumours going around. Looks like we're going to have a top Premier side and not alone a Championship side. Is it true Sky Sports commentators and pundits were anti-Coventry since the 90s? I don't know. I think it could go back to the Jimmy Hill problem, because obviously Jimmy was head of Match of the Day, and maybe that's what it was. I don't know. We rarely got shown on telly, that's for sure. I'll be interesting next season if we do it. If Blues went down and we didn't go up, that would barely get a mention on Midlands Today, says Mark Ray. Yes. Yeah. I like that comment. Nicholas James, it's certainly the best possible time to play them at their place as they have key players out. Correct. Why do you think we score Prem goals? Who do you think will score Prem goals this season, Gyökeres or Haaland? Who do we think? I feel sorry for Victor, because Victor is just an out-and-out old-fashioned striker, and Haaland is just a monster. He's just one of those players who's head and shoulders above everybody else. And you know, it's a tough old game, that Premier League, and he's come straight up from Championship to the Portuguese league, and I don't think, you know, he was ever expected to come in and score 30 goals or 40 goals. And I've noticed when Arsenal play, I don't know what we're talking about Arsenal, but they've got so many players in their team who think they can do it on their own. And you rarely see them put the ball into him. You know, Saka's on the wing, he will cut in and shoot. Damien Rice will shoot. Damien Rice is a musician, Declan Rice. And from the other side as well, they're very selfish up top, the Arsenal lot.
Do a couple more.
Yeah, Nicholas James, I'd love Joel Perreault to come here. Now, there's a top quality striker, Alex Robertson. It's a long one, I'll read it. Sorry, Jack, but regardless of the size of the checkbook, Lampard returned to Chelsea as a non-starter. The last spell almost finished his managerial career. And if Maresca really was having team selections dictated to him, it's no surprise Chelsea job is becoming less and less attractive to serious coaches.
I'm not saying it's an attractive job, but I'm saying if a rival company offered to put a note on the end of your payslip, you wouldn't say no, would you? It would have to be a significant challenge because he's worked with Todd before and all. I get that, but it's not impossible, is what I'm saying. It's not going to happen, but it's not impossible.
Robert says Palace just signed Brendan Johnson, so it looks like SA could be out for certain. Hopefully to Cov, 35 million. It's interesting because a Spurs fan put on, I don't know why I was trolling the Spurs fan, he put down that Brendan Johnson is a waste of space, lazy, doesn't look like he can control a football, absolutely useless. And I just replied, you've just described the whole Spurs team. Which he then put, sadly, you're right. I thought it was quite funny.
So, a couple of things on the team then for Saturday and what's going to happen. When's BTA back? Do you think? Do we know? Is it Leicester? Could it be sooner? Could it be February?
I don't know. The fact that they're not even asking now, I wouldn't have him back. While the weather's like this, don't have him back because it's not going to be a quick recovery.
No, and I think it's going to be February because he'll have to play some minutes for the under-21s or 5-minute appearances off the bench for us in the first team. So it's going to be a while, isn't it? And,
I mean, 6 weeks for hamstring is a long time, Jack. For, you know, worst case scenario, you're looking at 3 months for a bad one. So it's almost in between, isn't it? It's not a slight pull. It's a proper damage. But that's quite deep.
And then just before we came on air, we jokingly said a year ago now, we were all saying Bidwell and Jay De Silva could both leave the club and we wouldn't bat an eyelid, right? But as of today, right now, I can't wait for Jay De Silva to play on Sunday. I am buzzing for him to be playing because the left-back situation has been poor over the last 3 games. We've played 3 different players at left-back, can I say? And I know KKH was playing wing-back, but same principle. How much have we missed De Silva in the last 3 games, Claudio?
It's ridiculous. You know, sometimes it's people say, don't you, when you're not playing, it makes you look like a better player, doesn't it? When you see what's out there on the pitch. He's had a very good season. And what he did at Southampton was it was out of character because he doesn't normally do that. That was just very silly. So, yeah, we have missed him in that position. He's been good all season, hasn't he? And obviously, him being out of the team has caused us a problem because Bidders has hardly had any minutes, you know, and Brown's not played because of Jay De Silva being in such good form, and he doesn't trust them, else he would have played them sooner in other games, you know. So we've missed him, which is
and finally, De Silva is going to be the freshest player in our squad, isn't he? He's 100% fit. We hope that he will come in and hit the ground running because it's not like he's been out with an injury and takes time to get back. He's been suspended, so he can still train. He's still involved. The only thing he can't do is turn up on a matchday squad. So from all accounts, if he's missed the flu that's been going around, he is the fittest man in our squad and should put in a good performance on Sunday.
Well, he was all right. He was in the crowd on Saturday, which I thought was a bit bonkers.
I know. I didn't see him, but that's because he is only 3'6".
So he's a bit short, isn't he? And also, he's sponsored by the Leamington and Warwick Coventry City supporters group. So he'll be coming to our meeting when we eventually have one, because the latest one, which shows you how bad things are, has been postponed because of the flu problem. It should be, it would have been next week, I think, or the week after. They've already postponed it. So there's obviously an issue, because they've never, ever done that before in the past. Mark Rambo says, at least Jay Silva will be rested. Robbo says, Jay Silva is my player of the season up to now, and wouldn't thought it last season. Wayne Brewerton, we need to get another left back for sure. Can't rely on Brow. Cov90 says, what are your thoughts on Allen and Eccles? Are they good enough for us? I don't think both can play in the team together. I think we can do with one of them, not both of them. I think that's the problem.
And we might be able to survive with both of them for the last 15 minutes of a game if we're 2-0 up and we need to see it out, because they'll give you that. Whereas Rodoni might be a bit too attacking. Torp might not last the 90 with his fatigue. So bringing them two on at 2-0 up wouldn't be a problem. Starting them two, that can't go on, can it? So on that point then, team for Sunday, obviously it'll be Carl in goal. Do we go back to 4-3-3, Claudio?
We yes. Yeah. No, I was thinking, I think you've got to go to what we know has worked most of the season. We've got to go Kitchen, Thomas, Jada Silva, Milan. Has to be.
Yeah.
Sakamoto has to come back in. I think EMC has to come back in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They both had a rest. I know Efron played 5 minutes or 7-8 minutes, whatever it was, but they both had a full game's rest, essentially.
Yeah. Obviously,
So,
Grimes.
Grimes, yeah, is the undroppable one.
I think Rodoni has to start this one.
Had mostly a rest and went off after, was it an hour against Ipswich? So he's only played 90 minutes over the last 2 games.
So if that's the case, then we need, make sure I don't have too many players here, Eccles, Rodoni, Grimes.
But will he go Eccles, because he's only played Eccles in the number 10 position this season? Therefore, if he's looking to play someone alongside Grimes, he's more likely to pick Allen, in my opinion.
I still think Eccles. I think I'd go Eccles ahead of Allen. There's more chance Eccles scoring a goal. Yeah,
the creativity's increased, isn't it, with Eccles in the team rather than Grimes and Allen. So Eccles is almost a Torp like-for-like replacement, in my opinion. He's a similar character. He might come up with goals and assists, like you say.
So does that leave one up top?
And that leaves the big number 9 or 11. Who plays? Is it Ellis or is it Hadji?
Oh, it's so difficult because
I don't think it is.
I know you're going to say Ellis Sims, aren't you?
It has to be. The man has equalled Hadji Wright's goal tally this season. He's got 8 league goals, same as Hadji. Scored in the cup, same as Hadji. And actually, Ellis has provided 5 assists in the league, whereas Hadji only 2. So Ellis has got 13 goal contributions, Hadji only 10, and Ellis has only started 9 games, but come off the bench 15 times. Wright started 19, come off the bench 4. So to me, Ellis Sims has earned it. He was our November Player of the month.
Felt like a year.
got dragged off for that first game in December at home.
Yeah.
After putting in a subpar performance at Ipswich, but so did everyone. Got dragged off for Hadji. Struggled to maybe find his feet a little bit since that game, but then gets his start at the weekend with a point to prove. Not the weekend, New Year's Day, Thursday, and he's earned it by scoring a goal. He had no service in the game, bar that. He had 2 half chances towards the end. 2 headers went straight at the keeper. So if they were both just as poor as each other, Sims has got a goal and fashioned 2 half chances. What did Hadji do? He shot wide 3 times.
Yeah, and we've said it already. I mean, when Jim Brown gave you those stats about the fact how many games he starts and games he scores in, he does score when he starts. There's more chance of him scoring, and I think we just need to let him play around that 18-yard box, occupy their defenders. He's got to take players wide and all the rest of it. But I don't really want him out wide because there's too many players out wide anyway. We've got wide wingers, we've got wide midfielders, we've got wide fullbacks. We don't need anybody else in there. He needs to stay in and amongst around the 18-yard box and be a nuisance and occupy hopefully 2 defenders.
And with the formation switch going back to 4-3-3, we're assuming here, we've gone from a game where there's 2 wing backs where he had one cross or a couple of crosses all game, scored one of them, to having our first choice 2 fullbacks in Jay De Silva returning and probably 2 wingers returning. So he's going to have 4 people putting in crosses for him, not to mention the likes of Grimes, Kitchen that somehow gets crosses in, and maybe even Eccles or Rodoni that play.
It's interesting.
So service will return.
Come Sunday, if the team isn't close to what we've said, not that we've got a massive hindsight and all the rest of it. We're just saying, going on the basis of who didn't play against, I'm trying to think we played now. It's gone up at Charlton. Sorry, I'd be surprised if it's not close to what we've selected. I'll be very surprised. And if players like Sakamoto and EMC aren't starting on Sunday, then there has been an issue. Simple as that.
I would expect, barring the flu, let's assume the flu doesn't hit any more players, and let's assume Torp is not fit. I think we've got 9 players spot on there. It's who plays alongside Grimes in that midfield. Is it Eccles or Allen? And who starts up top? Is it Sims or Wright? I think the other 9 are almost nailed on, barring freak injuries or illness, like I say.
So I think we're there. I won't read all the comments out now. We're going to have a
short through a few and then we'll wrap up.
So Cameron Rossi says Sims all the way. Sims needs service, says Mark Rainbow. Without it, he's a passenger. Robbo, Sims offers much more. Holds ball, good in the air, finishing, etc. Right, sub to come on after 70 minutes. Mark M. King, Sims is hungry and it shows. Right seems lost, tired at times, disinterested. Robbo, Sims was playing very well, then was suddenly dropped, which didn't seem fair. He scored against Charlton, so deserves to start. Mark Rainbow, if Blues are playing a scratch centre-half pairing, then I'd say Sims would be the better choice. And round Sean McLaughlin, Simo has to start. Hadji on the left at the moment. Oh, interesting.
There you go. Well, thank you for tuning in, as always. Come and join us on Sunday night. We're back to our normal Sunday, Thursday show. So there is no post-match reaction because we're doing it Sunday night, as all the teams should be there, because I think most of us are going, with the exception of Claudio, whichever side. I think he's that side on your screen. He's the opposite side the way I'm looking, but that way. He's not going, obviously. So we've got a chance. We are still top of the league. We are 8 points clear at the top of the league. Once we get this game out of the way, we've got a nice rest and an FA Cup fun match to go and watch, basically. An exhibition match, if you like. So hopefully we can do it. Thank you all for tuning in, and a big play up Sky Blues.
Yeah, play up Sky Blues.
Sky Blue Fans TV, for the fans, by the fans.